Hello, bonjour, hello, hey, hiya and privyet hockey fans. Welcome to the Europuck podcast.
The show where two blokes from Blighty talk about everything to do with European hockey as part of the Hockey Podcast Network.
From the Russian KHL to the Swedish Hockey League, the Finnish Liga to the Swiss National League, the British Elite League to the Alps Hockey League, we talk about anything and everything European hockey.
Catch our podcast every Friday from August the 28th, however you get your podcasts, and on the Europuck Podcast YouTube channel.
The Europuck Podcast, giving you guys European hockey.
I'm muted. What an S. Welcome to episode 8. I was muted. Welcome to episode 80 of Red Wings Rant. Of course, tirades and impassioned pleas about your Detroit Red Wings now have a home. We have another milestone episode at 80, so we've got just a couple more before we hit 100, and then we'll just kind of, the milestones will only hit on the 100 mark. But we are happy to be back as we come to you another Sunday morning. Mike got the coffee rolling early this morning, but God damn it all, if a higher power. I know neither one of us are really believers, but somebody did not want this show to happen today. But God damn it all to hell, we're here.
That's right. Thank you, HP and Windows 10, for having a secret update that I needed that muted everything on my computer. We tried reinstalling drivers. We tried reinstalling softwares. It didn't matter, but here we are. Happy Sunday. I added a little bit of bourbon to this hot cider this morning, so it'll all even out. But Matt, it's another week. Nice. It's the week after, I'd say, of free agency. Everything's kind of slowing down a little bit, but thank God there's still some Red Wing news out there, Matt. Are you ready to dive right in?
And then it'll slowly die off. We're going to have, if you think about it, we're in the realm we're in right now is we get the Tyler Bertuzzi, then we have to sign Mantha, which is kind of scary that we're in arbitration hearing mode for Bertuzzi. And we could get notification. I'm not sure when it's scheduled. I don't know if they get those out of the way first thing in the morning. But ultimately what we want to talk about is like the good job that Yzerman had done with what was thrown Bertuzzi's way, and I'm super proud of that. But okay, we get that out of the way, then we get Mantha out of the way, and then it's just the conversation turns to what day is the NHL starting? Yeah, because they say January 1st, but then we also have other GMs around the league that are like, that's not happening. It's like, oh, okay, that's nice to know. But they have to start somewhere. They have to say something about we have a plan, so that there's something to revolve whatever plans get made. We got to revolve it around somewhere. So it's fine that they threw out a date. I'm not necessarily mad that they did that, but
it's a winter sport. I don't mind seeing it start in winter. I do hope that they take a page out of what baseball's already done. What basketball is planning to do. I know we saw potential division realignments, to try and limit some of the travel. Unless you're in Canada, then you're still screwed.
I think I still have that.
Going coast to coast on that one.
Yeah, that guy there. I don't know if you could. Can you see that?
Yeah. The other option too would be like, Red Wings, for example, get all their Lightning games in a row. Get all their Blackhawks games in a row. So maybe that'll be a little confusing with, like the home and away disparity, or dispersal, I mean to say. But these guys want to get paid. They want to play these games, and I don't know what kind of sacrifices they might have to make for that. But yeah, kind of maybe bunch it up into a little series to try and limit how many COVID tests we have to, sprint through every night.
There's a good one. The like that's the scary thing, right? Like us in Michigan, we're actually dealing with what was it? This past week was our largest increase of new cases, or no, it was just our largest total of new cases.
It was a teeny spike. It was a teeny little spike, not a big, just a spike.
When you increase tests, there's more positive. No, it's not. It's been the same. If anything, at this point right now, people are getting less tests. Like, sure, there's more tests out there, but Mike, I don't remember in the last however many months it actually being an issue that tests were or were not available. I mean,
I don't know if you guys see Donald Trump's impression on Saturday Night Live last night, where he's like, there's one little spike in Florida, one teeny little spike in Texas, one oonsy-toonsy little one in North Dakota. But not a big deal. We have another Dakota, so.
I love, too, that I know we shouldn't go too deep into this, but I love, too, that the governor of North Dakota said we need to stop politicizing this, and we need to, like, what did she say? Oh, she said, you need to show common courtesy to people who don't want to wear a mask. And the idea that the common courtesy needs to be shown to the a-holes who are like, I'm not wearing a mask, instead of just wearing a mask.
It's a lot to ask for.
That's the common courtesy. All right. Well, unfortunately, we don't have too many pro hockey teams to talk about in the Dakota area. So when everybody's dead over there, it won't be a huge issue. Won't affect the NHL. So, what a stint. Mike, Tyler Bertuzzi's arbitration hearing is today. So we picked a great time to have this podcast record because, you know what? I thought about it last night and I was like, should we record later in the day to get this information? And then I realized what could possibly happen that like we can't just see coming right now. So I just went ahead and, took some notes here. Bertuzzi's side coming in at $4.25 million. Yzerman, his team, throwing out $3.15 million. Absolute beaut of a number for a guy that I was just tweeting with fake Philip Zadina on Twitter. So shout out to fake Philip Zadina. He said his concern is that Yzerman doesn't see Bertuzzi in his production aligning with just Bertuzzi, but it's more along the lines of who he's playing with. Now, fake Philip Zadina threw out there, this is going to sound bad. I don't think that sounds bad. I think that's pretty fair. That's an okay assessment. I don't think that when we're bringing Tyler Bertuzzi through the system, I could be wrong, but I'm going to go ahead and say that when this team's ready for a playoff run, this guy's not in our top 6 list of forwards. I think that's pretty fair. And I know, we have the Q&A open at all times. So if you guys want to throw any questions in the chat, I mean, don't even bother throwing a question. Tell me I'm a stupid a-hole and that this guy needs $4 or $5 million for the next few years. I don't believe it. I don't see it. I think flexibility, this 1-year deal moving forward, something that could potentially be less than $4 million. Hell yeah. Because again, I'll throw this out there, Mike, and then I want to get your opinion. But right down the middle would be 3.7, which is where these arbiters tend to go. Just kind of cut it in half because that's pretty easy. So I love, again, from my side, I love where Yzerman's coming in with this number. I love the flexibility that's going to come from this because if the twos doesn't keep the numbers up, again, it's all on, it's for the Red Wings side right now. So if we're looking to continue to find flexibility and upgrade this team, we'll still have all that power. Power is a scary word, but we'll have it.
Well, it's kind of fringing upon another one of the discussion points today, but looking again at Mike Hoffman, right? He's one of the last spells of the ball. One of the big free agents left, and people are trying to guess where he's going to go. He's getting paid, about 5.5. He's probably looking for like $6 million this year, and smart on him. I love that he's looking at maybe doing a Taylor Hall contract. I don't know if that also means he's going to Buffalo, but he said he would be willing to take something short. prove it deal, and then maybe get, that retirement mortgage from some sucker who wants to pay him till he's 39. But as far as his production goes, like comparatively speaking, I don't think we can really count, Tyler Bertuzzi's first 2 years. He's a little puppy. He only played, 55 games his first 2 years combined. But after that, he's getting, 47 points, 48 points in 19 and 20. And if Mike Hoffman's going to get like $6 million, he's getting, he had a season with more goals. His peak year is still like 70. I think you could still be okay with the twos as one of your top 6 forwards making, under $4 million. I think we can actually absolutely win this arbitration. And not just the Red Wings, because we don't want to root for them necessarily. But we want to root for, a city in Detroit and make sure it's competitive. So I don't care about the lined pockets of the owners. I think we're on the same page there. We just would want to field the most competitive team possible. And if that means only allocating $3.5 million or so to Tyler, that's a win.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? You make a great point. If we get Bertuzzi for under, that's what I'm predicting right now is it's going to be under this 4 million number, and then he's going to be in our top 6. That's an incredible number for a top 6 forward. So I guess it would only necessarily, it's probably just going to be the 1 year. Yzerman did make note, and this was brought up through the Freep that, he's not opposed to a longer deal with Bertuzzi. I think, again, the issue is just going to be this number of what they're going to agree upon. So what I was about to say, it kind of doesn't hold too much credence here, because I was going to say, if you have a top 6 forward under 4 million going for, it's just now we're talking Bertuzzi would prove himself for another year. And then next year's restricted free agent situation is just going to put Yzerman in the same kind of the issue of what do you see in his potential for the length of term and the amount you want to pay him. Because getting back to the quick discussion I had on Twitter, I would say I would probably agree. That's probably the realm that Yzerman's in right now, is he doesn't, at least if there's this issue of not throwing out the long-term deal or giving Bertuzzi the number he wants, then there is something more that Yzerman needs to see out of this. And I know last week we talked about how much can you really pull from an arbitration hearing happening? And I think that's fair to pull that from it. Like it's the word routine was tossed and bantied about, but I think we could pull away from just saying this is routine, the Red Wings will get through this, because again, the procedure is routine, but the idea that every player goes through this is just incorrect. And it does happen a lot. But this is where we're at. Yzerman doesn't have the confidence, or at least I'm going to suppose, in my opinion, with this happening, Yzerman probably doesn't have the confidence in Bertuzzi being, a member of the top 6 moving forward. Probably, I said 3 to 4 years. You could probably go 2 to 3 years, but I mean, we have, Mike, if you had to bet who's going to be in the top 6, and we're talking wingers here, I mean, are you going to be more focused in the Lucas Raymond, Philip Zadina, Anthony Mantha boat, or are we really going to sit here and argue that Bertuzzi is, like we need to save a spot for Tyler?
I think what will be, I wish we could be a fly on the wall for these negotiations, Matt, because I think in an unprecedented move, Tyler Bertuzzi would not necessarily have, they kind of, all right, you give us your argument and we'll just slide a number across the table. And then I don't think Bertuzzi would necessarily just, slide a document with his statistics on it. I think he would also slide a document with Franz Nielsen's statistics on it and his yearly contract and be like, well, I think my point has been made. And then Steve can go, well, let me erase that there and give you a much better offer, because he's at least worth 50% of what Franz Nielsen makes a year, right?
Right.
So he's...
Well, this is the crazy thing. Like, so the Freep and Evolving Hockey had 2 numbers that were being tossed about. So the Freep said they were predicting 4 to 5 years at 4.5 million, and Evolving Hockey predicted 5.4 million. So the fact that Bertuzzi's coming in under both of those numbers tells, I mean, something happened. Like there's something wrong with what Bertuzzi's team came up with, because those numbers are based off of what you're saying. They're based off of what a guy like Nielsen makes, and it's based off of production value, and it's based off of what other guys around that production are getting paid. So, I mean, even Bertuzzi, if he could have come in a lot higher. I don't know.
I didn't realize. I'm sorry. I'm just combing through the old hockey reference here, and I guess
it's easy to get lost in those. Oh.
Yeah, Uncle Franzi. He's I mean, he's technically got Lady Bing and Selkie, award-winning votes, but he's not really like placing in the top 5 for either of those categories. And
yeah.
Easily, like Bertuzzi's numbers, at age 22, 23, 24, much better than, Nielsen. So not necessarily to throw him under the bus, but he's just the bane of our cap space existence, as Red Wing fans. So not Yzerman's fault, something he's kind of, cleaning up after the previous regime, but just to kind of get a feel for where Uncle Bert, where he could be at money wise. It would be tough to look at the cap sheet and still see Bertuzzi lower than this guy.
And Glarley is pointing out regarding Nielsen, Yzerman didn't sign that contract. We know. We're saying, like, we're basing it off of like how Evolving Hockey brings up their what do you call that?
You gotta compare it to the rest of the market. So
right.
If you're just looking at other players on the team, other players in free agency this year, other players at the same age, point production, all those things come into play. And this is more of a tongue-in-cheek comparison, but you can see that this guy somehow at the age of 32 was getting, 5-6 million a year. So I think Bertuzzi, to see this number, I think you'd be doing cartwheels if he's getting under 4 million to be a top 6 forward.
Right. And I was looking for the word model. So we're talking about the folks that would build out these models like Evolving Hockey, and then what Free brought to the table with their estimations. So they put together a model that was built around what's going on with the Red Wings and around the NHL. So that's where the Nielsen contract is still, what do we want to say, relevant to this conversation. But yeah, absolutely. And then when Mike references cleaning up house, that's really what we're going to jump into next year. That's really what we have left is the Nielsen contract. That to me seems like one of the last things on the list. And God damn it all to hell, we're going to bring up another model. It's going to be Dom from The Athletic and Luszczyszyn. I don't know. We've talked about him all the time. I'm never going to get his last name. I have no clue how to say it. Somebody could type in
Luszczyszyn. That's Luszczyszyn.
I don't know. Yeah, you broke up there too. So even the internet doesn't know.
No, I think it was Luszczyszyn, wasn't it?
Something like that. I love Dom though. I follow him on Twitter, and he came up with his model of who had improved the most over the first burst of free agency. And let me pull this up here because I'm gonna stretch this for a second. But everybody should be able to see this now. Mike, you can still hear me, right?
Yes.
So this is incredible to look at, to see. This isn't incredible to say like, oh, good, now we're playoff contenders. No, this is incredible because it shows, like, it really paints the picture of how terrible we were. Like, look how far off into the top right corner we are for this. And this is salary added is going to go the vertical route. And then the horizontal numbers are wins added. So we did sign quite a few people, but you can also see, so did the Ottawa Senators. But we added, and according to Dom's model here, about 6 wins. So, again, these are predictor models. So this isn't anything that's guaranteed. And we always have to take these with a grain of salt. But it is very interesting to see like what can happen by, I would say addition by subtraction, because if we pull up or you know what? I don't have this other picture I'm going to reference here. But this is just Dom's thoughts from The Athletic. I'll just throw that out there. Wins added 5.9. In Marc Staal, Thomas Greiss, Vladislav Namestnikov, Trey Stetcher, Bobby Ryan, Jon Merrill. Now out, and this is where Dom's point really comes in. Eriksson, Abdelkader, Jimmy Howard, Trevor Daley, Madison Bowie, and Christopher N. And Dom goes, the worst team in hockey has only one way to go. That's out. That's especially true with the offseason they had. No, they didn't sign any big names that moved the needle, but they did replace serious drags with actual NHL caliber talent. All right. Every player on the way out was a negative value player last season, worth a combined minus 4.6 wins. That's insane. Again, we're not saying like this is what actually happened, but to think that there's a model out there that says, Larkin's going to bring in a couple of wins, but then Abdelkader's going to come in and just delete that. Like, he's so bad that he nullifies the existence of a Dylan Larkin on your team. So he does go on to say, like, that's where most of these teams added value. It's addition by subtraction. But we're sitting here, Pat and Yzerman on the back. What a great job with this Tyler Bertuzzi number he came in with, because, even by what we saw with Bertuzzi, we just said, it looks like he undervalued where he could have been. Maybe that has something to do with all these the salary numbers getting locked up and potential for all the money lost because of COVID. So maybe that's where those numbers needed to be adjusted. But right now, if you had to put data on it, if there was an analytical way to figure out if a GM was doing the right job, Dom has done it. And some of the stuff was easy to figure out. I mean, you're not going to sit here and argue and say, no, Abdelkader needed to stick on this team, but there's also a GM out there that wouldn't make the move. There's maybe too much loyalty that goes around in this league. And I think this is a good way to like start the precedent of like, what does Yzerman represent here? And he represents a guy that can get the easy stuff out of the way, right? He's not going to put us in a bad situation, because even when he was talking about the Keenan Draper draft, and we've said this multiple times, so for anybody getting sick of hearing it, he made mention. He's like, look, Chris Draper knows his job is on the line with everything he does. So if he thinks, I'm going to add some inflection here and kind of guess this is how Yzerman felt. If he thinks that guy who wasn't even ranked on anybody's list is going to be an NHLer, and he's going to waste my 7th round pick, he knows his job is on the line. Again, not verbatim, but I'm guessing Yzerman's head was kind of in that realm. So I would say if, these draft picks don't start lining up with what Draper's maybe bringing to the table, that could be another name that's on the chopping block. Now, I do feel pretty good about the draft picks, but you got to throw that out there. All right, so moving right along, Mike. I don't know if you want to touch on that too much. I realize there isn't too much to pull from it. No,
I enjoyed the read. Anytime in this past year we've had something positive about the Red Wings to read, it's welcome because there's been so many rare opportunities to do so. But I think basically what they're trying to break down with, what kind of wins you're bringing to the table with the players you're acquiring. It's not necessarily a bonus just to start spending money. Like Ottawa's offseason, it was expensive, but, didn't necessarily bring in, as many wins as, some of the players the Red Wings brought in. But it's just so tough it's just so tough, even with Dom's hard work on this, to kind of gauge where the Red Wings are at now, because you could almost just say if you wiped the entire Red Wings roster off the map and just brought in 25 new guys, in some capacity, they're not going to be part of one of the worst historical seasons in NHL history. But with that said, I got to think Greiss is going to be a little bit of an upgrade over Jimmy Howard, who's at the end of his career. It's not his fault. Father time comes for everybody. And then Abdelkader, that's another obvious one there. So almost any warm body would have been an upgrade. So we spent responsibly, which is good. No long-term mortgages. These are all 1 and 2 year deals. It's just exemplifying that, we had a smart, affordable offseason that gives us flexibility for the future, gives us flexibility to sign, long-term deals with, the Manthas, the Larkins, and hopefully some of those young guys in the minors can pay off for us here. But we can move on for sure.
Well, I think there's something to be said too. Like as these guys get older, and we see, Jimmy Howard gets in that part of his career where the conversations start popping up online. Is he getting, is there too much gray hair there? Is this the end of the career? And Mike, I mean, when you talk about hair and clipping stuff, and when it becomes too obvious, that's when. That's when what comes to my mind is the Lawnmower 3.0 from Manscaped. That's right. Maybe you're clipping those gray hairs, Mike. Maybe you're just keeping it high and tight for the ladies. But the Lawnmower 3.0 is going to do it, and it's going to do it fast for you. It's going to do it smooth. You're going to avoid all those nicks and cuts because this thing has, Mike, they were studying, scientists, the Manscaped scientists were studying how to make this thing as user-friendly as possible. So you can twirl this thing like a baton and still cut clean. I do it once a week now, Mike. Once I started, you can't stop. It's like seeing a chiropractor. But if you wanna get yourself started nice and clean, nick-free, using that 7,000 RPM motor, getting a light down there where the sun don't shine, you can get the Lawnmower 3.0 package, 20% off with free shipping if you use promo code THPN, and you can only use it on manscaped.com, but that is promo code THPN. You get 20% off and free shipping with that promo code in reference to the Hockey Podcast Network, only on manscaped.com. That is the Lawnmower 3.0. Mike, did I lead into that too hard? Was that obvious? That was where I was going.
That was a wonderful segue. Thank you, Matt. We can soldier on here. Just kind of some rough news. Honestly, kind of surprised that they're just a knock on wood. There aren't more updates like this, but luckily we did find out that Slava Kozlov, part of the Russian Five, had COVID, came down with it, but he looks to be out of the hospital and recovering well. So good news there on the Red Wing front. I don't know.
I will say this was kind of scary for me because the way Twitter works, they try and figure out like what means the most to you. And I saw the Greg Krupa tweet first where he said everything is good. He's out of the hospital. And then on my personal account, which is more like my burner account because I just retweet everything we do here. Then I got Keith Gabe's tweet that said he was looking into seeing what was, is Slava okay? And that's what I saw second. And I went, oh God, he's already back. And it was a day later that I got that tweet. I was terrified. So when I first put in the notes here, thankfully I got the story straight. But Twitter, get your shit together, man. I put things in order. I know that we're trying to weed out some of the fake news that's out there, but somehow that changed the algorithm for me seeing a day later tweets about him being in the hospital after I'd already seen he was back home and fine. So that was scary, but quick shout out what's an opposite of a shout out? Shout down to Twitter. All right,
good work,
Mike. I think before we jump into our new game, because I'm looking at the notes, we want to talk about Mike Hoffman real quick, right?
Well, I think we have a new game that we could kind of include that in there, Matt.
All right. I just we did a poll and everything for the game, so this wasn't part of the poll.
This is also technically. Let's just play the video. Let's see it.
All right, everybody, who's ready for our new game called Be the GM?
I love that song. But I think at the end, you should also have that clip of Yzerman going, yeah, I think a lot of teams want to be part of an original 6 team. And really turn your nose up at the non-original 6 teams. Yeah.
Slow zoom in.
Yeah, man, what is this?
You know what?
What's going on here?
We should do the sunglasses thing too, where it comes down and he gets the little cigarette. Do you see that? Yeah.
Nose up.
Remember
cigarette?
those? I think that's about 10 years old at this point, so that's where my references are at. Thankfully, Borat's relevant again.
My wife! All right.
All right.
What is this new game? What is this here?
So the part that we gamified on Twitter was I wanted to see what people were thinking in regards to Bobby Ryan and Robbie Fabry maybe having a good start to the season heading into wherever the trade deadline falls. You know, that's something too that's pretty interesting with trying to figure out, like, when I'm asking this question, what is a reasonable number to see from two guys that, you know, you're sure, or you're okay with not being a part of the core. You know, what's something where you're just like, oh my God, these guys are terrible. Yeah, trade them away. And what's like reasonable that they would have a point total at maybe a halfway point in what could be like a 50-game season. I don't know. So this is all over the place. So we're pretending that it was an 82-game season. It's the trade deadline. Bobby Ryan and Robbie Fabry, Mike, have 40-plus points and can both fetch a draft pick at the trade deadline. So obviously, these guys are figuring in, I would say reasonably in the middle 6. So you'd be losing 2 guys in your middle 6, potentially a first liner too, if things work out for, you know, Bobby Ryan and scoring starts to happen and he just gets some chemistry going. But let's say this. Bobby Ryan, Mike, gets you a second. Fabry gets you a first. What do you do? And your 4 options are no trades. Let's go. Oh, shoot. That's the part I forgot. We're 4 points out of a playoff spot. Damn it. All right. No trades. Let's go for a playoff run. Trade Bobby Ryan. Trade Fabry. Or trade both. Now, I'm going to say, yeah, let's go through what the fans picked. We've got 3% of the vote, Mike, was don't trade. Hang on to Bobby Ryan.
Don't you trade my Fabry. Don't you do it.
No, it was 3% was trade Fabry, but hang on to Bobby Ryan. So everybody was thinking, why would you hang on to Bobby Ryan? I like that. That's where the fans are at. At 21.2%, it was let's stay a happy family. Let's see what happens here. This could be 1 year, you know, of according to Dom L's oh Jesus, why can't I remember the word model? According to Dom L's model, we're going to improve. So we're going to improve enough to become a playoff team. So let's go for it. And then 24.2% of the vote is just trade Bobby Ryan and hold on to Fabry. So a lot of people are with you there, Mike. But 51.5% of the vote goes to trade both, because this team is still rebuilding. Mike, do you want to go first?
I got to say the question is too easy. If you're getting a first round pick for either of those guys, you do it. I don't know if they would. I don't know if they would fetch that necessarily. I got to think it would be a second and a third, like kind of going down second for Fabry, third for Bobby. Bobby isn't he 33 years old now? He's not a spring chicken.
Right.
And I mean, he's, you're getting a 1 year, you're getting a rental for basically a couple months of a COVID season. So yeah, I would absolutely in a heartbeat do both those trades if they were both offered to me. You can't turn down first round picks and, trading 33-year-old Bobby for a couple months, for maybe a first round exit in the playoffs. Absolutely worth it to get rid of both those guys.
And that's where I wanted to make it like a little bit tougher, is like this team could be a playoff team. We could get that playoff run in there, and anything could really happen. But the flip side is where, these guys have produced to a point that they're close, maybe sniffing a point per game production. More likely like a half a point per game production so far through the season. I guess it would be like 3/4 of a point per game, because if it's at the trade deadline and they've got 40 plus, You haven't played 82 games. So that's where you're seeing these guys produce kind of like out of their mind, right? Like they're doing really well at that point in the season. So that's kind of where I think you could fetch those higher draft picks. But I agree too. Like I would trade both, no problem. I think we could be 4 points into a playoff spot. We could have 4 points on the 9th place team, and I would still trade both. I'm a bad Red Wings fan, but damn it all, I still like Yzerman say, every time he turns around, we got to collect draft picks. And I also think, replacing these guys with what we have in the system, if we were 4 points ahead of like the 9th place team, I think we'd still be fine. Like, you know what I mean? Like in the grand scheme of things, and possibly with like 20 games left, we probably still have a good shot of making it. But then you also get to go into the next draft. At this point, we're talking like 4 second-round picks, or what have you, and a couple firsts. So and other trades could have already happened as well. But so I do like this. I think we're gonna keep this going because obviously I made a video and a graphic to transition us from one part of the show to the next. But Mike, you want to play a part 2 of this game, so we gotta tweak this out.
Yeah, I got one more be the GM for this week, just because he's still out there. It's Mike Hoffman. He's the last, like sexy free agent forward still out there.
Right.
It sounds like here in his age 30 season, he's willing to. He's outwardly said, "Yeah, I don't need a long-term deal. I'll do a short-term deal." And I think what he's doing is kind of looking, like somebody like Taylor Hall, who signed a 1-year mega money deal. And I think he wants to try and get that, because I don't know if at this point in his career he's earned like a 6-7 year deal for $60 million, something like that. He's had good numbers. He's kind of fluctuated between like 22 and 36 goals the past 6 years. So you get pretty good productivity. You're getting about 26, 27 goals a season. But Matt, I guess being the GM, playing the GM for the Red Wings, you still got all this cap space just sitting there. It's not doing anything.
Right.
My question is, would you sign Mike Hoffman to a kind of a Taylor Hall like deal where it's just kind of 1 year? Yeah, we'll give you like 6.1 or something. It's just 1 year. So maybe you can prove that you can earn a mortgage, as we say. Or Matt, looking at the teams that are still over the cap today, you got a ton of them. You got the Coyotes who need help. The Canucks, the Blues, Leafs, Capitals, Knights, and the Ducks are all over the salary cap limit. There's also a couple teams kind of right on the fringe, just below where you need to be. Would you, Matt? I know it's going to be maybe an easier poll because it's a 1 or 2. I guess we'll do 3. Would you just leave the cap space, or would you try and wait for one of these teams to get desperate and still have to move somebody? Do you want to be there for that, or do you want to fill out your top 6 with Mike Hoffman? Matt, let's go to Matt. Matt, our correspondent. What do you got?
So, if you pick up Mike, I think you still have this opportunity to trade him. I think ultimately that's what you're picking up, right? Is another opportunity to grab a second or first round pick at the trade deadline, as we were just talking about the other be the GM question. So I don't, if he's doing a short term thing, and who knows what short term means to him compared to what it means to a GM. I think if you're keeping everything flexible, I think that's the key here, because I think we still have an opportunity to do those trades that you're talking about as well, to weaponize our salary cap. So we talked earlier in the show about Tyler Bertuzzi coming in, for all intents and purposes, almost 2 million to what Evolving Hockey was predicting, and $1 million under, I would say, what would probably be a more reasonable number, but Yzerman really lowballed him there. So things look like they're going to work out in Detroit's favor with that. You still got to wait for what's going to happen with Mantha, and I'm guessing the issue with Mantha is probably, it's got to be like term, right? Like Mantha's probably trying to get some security here.
With his injury history, I imagine he's less concerned about, how much per year, and give me 9 years, which should terrify you as the GM and the owner paying the contract.
Right. So he's looking for some stability there.
That is absolutely a guy the Red Wings would love to treat like Taylor Hall. Just go year by year. As his boo-boos, kind of ebb and flow. I think they would want to keep an eye on that.
So, like, all that being said, I think you still have all this flexibility to maybe even make both work, depending on where Mike Hoffman is landing on his salary number. But are you still in like this halfway tank mode? So we just talked about how much we've improved, according to Dom's model that he put up for The Athletic. But do you want to continue to improve, I guess? Do you want to continue to try and get closer to a playoff spot? And I don't know if that's a part of the strategy right now. Like, do these guys, do they sit in like a war room and go, well, if we pick up Mike Hoffman, we're going to get a couple more wins on this roster, and we're trying to get, are we trying to get another lottery pick? Or is it just not played that way? Because then I think they would be in the market for Mike Hoffman. I'm not approaching him to get more wins. If I'm going on after Mike Hoffman, it's because I have another weapon now throughout the season for trades or what have you.
I really love the way you thought about that. That should have been another option in my make to my little poll there, because essentially what you could be doing is if you sign him for 6, you're really signing him for 3 and then trading the other 3 to a team that is a player away from just kind of solidifying a top 6 or top 9 for that cup run. So essentially what you're doing, Yzerman's going to the Illiches and saying, so give me 6. We're really only going to need 3. And with that other 3, I can buy us another draft pick because, we think Hoffman's going to be pretty good. We're going to put him in a lot of spots to succeed. He's going to be on the power play. He's going to pad those stats, look sexy to a team at the deadline, and boom, you got another asset for you. And if by God, we're competitive, well, we got Mike Hoffman on the team for 1 year, and it's a small commitment. So I just think the Red Wings are in a position to, maybe kind of think about that. Maybe shoot him a quick text.
I gotta think.
Snapchat. Yeah.
I gotta think. Like we talked about it last week. Like part of the conversation that Yzerman can have there to gain the advantage over other GMs, and this is our audio that we shared with everybody over the last week. So anybody that joined the show by hearing that audio, they're listening now and going, "Oh, this is they're really forcing that point in there." But the question we asked was, is it really viable for a GM? Like, is it actually going to make a difference for him to walk in to these negotiations and say, look, you can sign with Boston. What happens when they have an injury and then you're stuck on this team? If they lose all that potential to like go deep into the playoffs or something like that, you come to us and you've got some flexibility at the trade deadline. I'll give you a no move so you can pick who you want to go to. I have no problem with that. You could trust Stevie Y. You can trust me.
Yeah.
You're going to get that no move clause. You're going to go to whatever team you want, and you're going to get paid this year regardless. Like, we're going to give you the money that anybody else is offering you. And then after this, you can go do whatever you want. You can put yourself on that Stanley Cup team. You can come back to us, and we'll do this again next year for you. I think, and I don't know if, we said, is Taylor Hall really doing that, or is he just collecting as much money as he could this year, and then he's going to, try and get some Jack Eichel punch-up points and then sell himself the next year. But, I mean, we agreed last week and said that definitely should be something Steve Yzerman has thrown out there. So if it really comes down to it, I think if these players are opening their mind to this idea that there actually is more flexibility to go to the Red Wings, because Steve Yzerman is not gonna keep you and ruin. If you come into his office and you're like, I all right, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to leave. I've got my team selected. Go move me. I think when these guys say that they trust Steve Yzerman, I think those are the conversations that are happening. I don't think they're sitting there going, I trust. Like, think about Bobby Ryan. Bobby Ryan said, I'm here because I trust Steve. And I think we got the same from Greiss, and Namestnikov is kind of in that same realm. I don't think they're sitting there with these short-term deals and going, I trust Steve Yzerman to build a winner. They're saying, I trust Steve Yzerman to do right by me. Right? Like, they're not in it for the long haul. These guys are just filling the spots now. They become weapons for Steve Yzerman. They're getting paid. Right? I think that is more of the realm that they're in when they say I trust Steve. But I know now I'm just rambling. So I do think that I shouldn't say
you were on a roll.
You
were on a roll. Yeah, I just thought let him go. He's doing fine.
He's doing fine.
Plus, the other thing here I forgot to include in the impromptu poll. Are we just building under that cap space for that Steven Stamkos trade? Okay, it's not happening, but I'm still going to dream every episode, okay? Matt, does that wrap it up for the Red Wing Rant this week?
I think it does. I did want to throw out there, I pulled some numbers here. I think it's fun to celebrate. We've got, let me see if I can't even see this on my own screen. There we go. If everybody can see this, we've got something to celebrate. Now we forced pretty hard, like, all right, Lucas Raymond was having success playing in a men's league. Well, guess who else is having success right now? It's Jonathan Bergen. So he's looking pretty hot right now, and it's at a 1.6 per game point per game clip. You can see him at number 3 there. I think this is something to get excited about. And as we're starving for hockey, we're looking for something to watch. This is something where I think all Red Wings fans have now made this like a regular part of their mornings, is to go ahead and check like some of the European hockey wires to see what's going on with the Red Wings prospects. I mean, it also is fun to see what Sider's doing with Rogel right now. But damn it all, if we don't have the number 3 guy in the SHL right now, again, rolling through on goddamn men's league. You know, it's exciting to see. So if we're going to sit here and say we absolutely had to get Lucas Raymond because he was having success in a men's league, then I think we could be just as excited that we have the number 3 point producer in that league. And again, somebody else brought up this point, so I'm stealing it from Twitter. And obviously that was from Elite Prospects. If anybody goes there, you recognize that table setup. But somebody else said, think about too, like there's so many guys that are loaned from the NHL right now over to that league. So that league that he's number 3 in points is probably a tougher league to play in than it would be otherwise in any other situation, right? So some good news there. And then in the J20, we also have our brand new draft pick who's producing at a 1.73 points per game is Theodor Niederbach. Who we just picked up in the 2020 draft. This was the guy that had former injury problems, and the conversation was he used to be a first-round prospect, and then the injuries kind of pulled him back. So this was something where it was possibly a huge steal for Yzerman. And if you look at what's going on now, and let's say he wasn't in the draft, I don't know how you look at a guy who's in the J20 and he wouldn't be a top prospect for the next draft. So this is him getting those opportunities, playing in the J20 over in Seaton, and he's doing pretty hot. So a nice way to wrap up the show. Some positive news on Detroit Red Wings prospects. And another thing too, look out for the analytics on More Insider. I saw them while we were going through our technical difficulties, but he is producing at a hell of a clip. Like, we talk about Corsi all the time. He's got like a 61.3 Corsi 4 percentage right now. It's fantastic. Playing for
whatever that means.
That's the puck possession. That's 60% of the time when he's on the ice. They're throwing the puck at the net compared to the 40%.
So you're saying
coming the other way. All right, and with that, everybody,
he had a career 58, Matt. He's better than Pavel. Here he comes. Don't shake your head, Matt. You're gonna have to cider in your life.
Speaking of which.
Hey!
All right, everybody. Let's see. We've got the thanks for listening. There we go. Pull that one up. Thanks for listening, everybody. Nice way to wrap up the show. It's Mike running down greatest Trey Red Wing of all time. All right, thanks for everybody.
Top 20.
Great Red Wing all time. All right.